TV, are you ready? All right. We'll start here in just a minute. We have two of our city's finest walking in the door. Once they get settled, we'll be good to go. If you're here just to watch, raise your hands. Just teasing, just teasing. Why don't you go ahead and do that? Before we get started, there's a quick some information that Drew wants to share with the developers that happen to be in the audience today. So
we'll just do it from here, I guess. Just so everybody knows, actually everybody in the room, Charles Johnson is coming in tonight for a mostly closed session, but the first part of that, which starts at 5:30, will be him giving his final recommendation in open. So you guys may want to be here. Everybody else might want to too.
All right, with that, we'll officially get today's hearing. This is our conference center public hearing. We have another one coming up this week, Thursday night at 5:30. We have 7 people signed up on the list. Those are Jim O'Connor, Donna Dietz, Don Trey Boo. Got it? Did I nail it? We're getting, what's that? All right, we'll get it more as time goes on. Jay Hahn, Glenn Costalis, Paul Van Horn, Frank Tweehouse. Anyone else that I did not call that would like to speak today? Please raise your hand or just tell me your name, sir.
Jim Olson.
Olson?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, we'll ask towards the end, but just so we kind of get an idea as far as timing here. And now I'll hand it over to our interim city administrator and our city attorney, Drew Hilpert, for kind of the rules of the day. Thank you all for being here. Huge subject. Appreciate your input. The whole council does.
Yeah, and just echo the mayor's thoughts. Appreciate you all being here. Mayor will call people by who's on the list. They'll be given 5 minutes. I'll keep the 5 minutes on my timer and give you the high sign when your 5 minutes is up, and appreciate you wrapping it up after that. And I suppose that's it. We'll go from there.
We don't have roll call today, but I do want to point out Jim Branch is here, Ken Hussey's here, Carlos Graham is here, Ralph Bray's here, Mr. Larry Henry, Bob Scrivener, and Rick Prather. I'm sure the other council members might be coming in as their schedules would allow. And with that being said, our first contestant today is Jim O'Connor. Come on down, as they say on TV. If you would, for the record, please give us your address and whether or not you're a city resident. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jim O'Connor. I am a resident, 1801 Lisa Drive. I'd like to thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to provide input. This is an important topic, and I don't really have a dog in the hunt, if you will, but as a citizen, I'm very interested in the outcome of this project. Just a little background about me. I moved to Jefferson City in 1987. At that time, I was employed by Public Employee Benefit Services Corporation, better known as PEPSCO. We provided retirement plan services to municipal governments. City of Jefferson was a client, State of Missouri, Cole County. And I moved here in 1987. The plan was to have a 3-year stint, do my time in Jeff City and move on. Moved here and fell in love with this community. It was a great place to raise a family, and thanks to the leadership and courage that former councils and other private individuals and government have put forth, I believe Jefferson City is a much better place to live today than it was when I moved here 26 years ago. Thank you for that. In the 1990s, the company that I worked for was bought by a big insurance company that kind of changed business models, and had an opportunity to stay, but I chose to leave, and with 2 friends and partners, we formed another company, Retirement Plan Advisors, still committed to the public sector as a client base. But one of my conditions when we started that company was that we be able to maintain an office in Jefferson City, because I did feel strongly about the roots that I had developed to this community. I've seen many changes here over the 26 years. And a lot of it's been the result of council, city councils, the city, the county working together, the city and the state working together, private developers working together. I feel like I've been blessed to benefit from a lot of those changes. When I moved here, there wasn't a Greenway. When I moved here, there wasn't a Walmart Supercenter. There wasn't a business park on the West End. Now my company has office space and employs 8 local residents in that space. So you've done a lot. The changes with the hospital, most recently the city and the state working together to resolve the issues to get the prison tours back going again. I'd like to again express my personal gratitude for all that hard work from both you and your predecessors that have gone into making this community a place that it is today. I think that the hotel and the conference center or convention center is a great opportunity to continue the progress. And it's a chance to achieve an objective that's been in this community's sights for a number of years, and anybody that's been here for a while has seen it come up as a topic. And I have been following this closely as a citizen, and I support the Farmer Holding Company's best and final proposal that you posted and made available on the website. Thank you for that as well. This open process is another reason that I really like being part of Jefferson City. But the reason I support that proposal, there's several main reasons. One, I like the mix of taxpayer dollars versus private development dollars in the proposal. And more importantly, it appears to me that there's more knowns in that proposal. I go through the other proposal and I'm trying to figure out where does that money come from, and I'm not sure. Pretty hard to follow is if we need parking, who pays for the parking? Where does the subsidy come from? And it kind of seems to me that it's going to come from somehow from taxpayer dollars. I like the local roots of the Farmer Holding Company. I think that's important, as evidenced by the changes in their proposal at the end to include a complimentary shuttle. I think that recognition of their the whole, when the tide goes up, it's got to raise all the boats, and giving people access to the Capitol, access to the prison, access to the downtown area on a complimentary basis. That to me is part of somebody understanding the local flavor that you only get when you're part of the community on a day-to-day basis. And I guess most importantly to me is it appears that the obstacles to overcoming completion are many in the other proposals: the site availability, the site readiness, the parking, again the finance dollars, and then the opportunity for expansion. And my experience is the less obstacles you have up front, the more likelihood you are to achieve a successful end. And I would want to voice my support for the Farmer Holding Company proposal. Thank you very much.
Jim, thank you very much for taking the time to be here. We want to thank staff, by the way. You had mentioned that these proposals and a lot of that information has been on our website, and I want to thank Drew and his team, especially Bill Betts and his team in IT, for getting that done for us.
Thank you, because that was very helpful.
All right. Next I have on the list Miss Donna Dietz. Donna, welcome. Saw some of your trolleys in good use yesterday.
Yeah, we're keeping him pretty busy. First, as y'all know, I'm sorry, Donna Dietz, 620 East High. As y'all know, I'm a very strong supporter of having the downtown site, not just because I have served on the Downtown Association board, or I'm involved in the East Side, but because I believe in the long-term viability of this city and what we can do with economic development. It's not a quick fix situation. I mean, I went back to the minutes of meetings. We've been doing this since 1960 and trying to get the conference center set up. So it's not something that we've been working on for the past 6 months or the past 6 years, but for a very long time. When we bought and invested in property over on the east side, we knew it was going to be a long-term situation before we saw any payback on those properties. You know, we knew that we were going to have to put our money into it and get them developed and see what we could do with it to renovate that side of town, to make it better. You know, we're paying I think our latest assessment just came in on the one building, and it's 7 times what it was. And we're having to absorb that until we can actually take on the bigger developments and get folks into those buildings. We've also taken our time with the trolley company. We started it 1.5 years ago, and we didn't jump in and immediately start doing historic tours or shuttling people downtown all the time. We started small and we worked up to it, knowing that we would be going someplace with it. It's the right way to do things, the right way to take steps to do it. I think the same tactic should be taken here. We know that economic development takes time. It takes people involved. It takes steps to proceed. It can't be something that's rushed into. We know that we have to do our background work, our educational work. We paid for a consultant that did a survey. We've talked to the planners who have said, 2/3 of them have said, we need it downtown because that's where people want to go. We've had a letter from the state saying, we want the state associations to have that close proximity to the Capitol building and to the other facilities that they would be visiting, whether it's the Truman building or the Jefferson Street building. They need to have that access. We know that it's the right site to do by making it downtown, by making it accessible, to actually look at our economic development. We've come a long way in the downtown area and the Near East Side in what's going on there. We need to continue that development. We've been doing associations have been coming in this town and using our trolleys for the past year to go places. They don't ask to go out to the mall. They go to the Capitol building, or they want to go to the MSP, or they want to go to the Near East Side. They go to Prison Brews to eat. They go downtown. Those are the kind of places, anecdotally, that we know people are going. So we should build on that. Build on the fact that that's where they want to be, and take that step. I know Mike Farmer, and I know the farmer companies who do a good job developing the mall, bringing it back to what it was with the TIFs and the CIDs and everything, whether there's a conference center there or not. I really urge the council to take a stand to make an economic development situation best by putting this downtown where people want to be, where they want to go. I've served on a lot of national boards who have constructed and been responsible for taking conferences to places. They want to go where it's unique, where people really have something different to see, where they can visit things like the Capitol, the museums, and that type of thing. That's what we have downtown and at that site, and I urge you to follow that. Thank you.
Donna, thank you. Mr. Donald Trabue. I don't spend a lot of time in New Orleans, so you have to forgive me, Donald.
You get better every time.
Hey, we're getting more practice at this every time.
I guess so.
Welcome, sir. Thanks for being here.
First, I must commend both proposers. They have put a lot of time in. They've done a lot of work, a lot of good work. But, as you know, someone has to be the winner. The best proposal and location is most definitely downtown, adjacent to the Capitol Plaza Hotel. The mall is several miles away from the most potential overflow hotels. Downtown is within walking distance of overflow hotels. The mall is miles away from state offices. Downtown, within walking distance of many state offices that would utilize a conference center. The mall is miles away from historic sites in Jefferson City. Downtown, within walking distance of the Capitol, Governor's Mansion, Missouri Historic Museum, and yes, even the historic prison site. The mall has 20,000 square foot of ballroom with a non-connected 10,000 square foot meeting area on the opposite side of the mall, totally separated. The downtown location has 40,000 square foot of conference center, with 30,000 being in one unit. That 30,000 can be broke in individual units. It's multi-purpose, something that is not shown at the mall. Additionally, should we need overflow meeting places, Capitol Plaza has 13,000 square foot plus of meeting facilities. That gives us much meeting facilities in downtown Jefferson City. The mall operators, even though they're great people, they have no expertise in the operation of hotel, motel. The Earhart Group has years of experience in the operation of a hotel, motel, meeting space operation. Additionally, in looking at the letter from the motel that is proposed for the mall location, it indicates we'll talk to you if you're suggested. It made no commitment that they would be the hotel. Even though we have no commitment on the downtown, with Earhart working in the hotel motel business, I think we could definitely feel that something like that would be viable. They do it every day. Major highway access is very limited at the mall location. They only have one diamond interchange to get people off of Highway 50. The downtown location has several points of access from Route 650, 63, and Route 54. And not all coming off at one point, coming at several points to get to one central location. A conference center at the mall location, in my opinion, would be built to enhance the mall. A conference center at the downtown location would be built to enhance Jefferson City. We must move forward. The downtown location is most definitely the best location for a conference center in Jefferson City. It's time for Jefferson City to move forward at the downtown.
Don, thank you very much for being here again. Next, we have on our list here, Jay, is it Han? Is that the correct pronunciation? Jay, good afternoon. Oh, okay.
Thank you, members of the council, mayor.
Jay, hold on a second. We have a technical difficulty.
I can
The old
speak loud.
swisheroo, they call it. Thank you, Cletus.
Thank you. Appreciate that. The other hat that I'm wearing is I am a current serving board member for Missouri Society of Association Executives, and although I'm not speaking directly on behalf of them, I will share with you a few off-the-cuff conversations I've had with a myriad of fellow board members and also regular members of the MSAE. And their perspective is usually almost always unanimous, which is they would not utilize or benefit a convention center anywhere other than downtown, and for many of the same reasons that we wouldn't. You know, I'll admit that I think that this city would benefit from a facelift and redevelopment of the West End, particularly the mall. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be a business decision. You know, people, when they think, and I hope some think just like I do, I'm not originally from Jeff City, but when they think of Jefferson City, they think about the main attraction, the reason we all come here. And I think of my members that are around the state of Missouri and why they come to Jefferson City. And we all think about the same thing, which is the Capitol. You know, we utilize that. That's one of the main resources we utilize. It's a 97-year-old beautiful building, and it brings people in. I think it's a good business to try to utilize that building. It's good business practices for us, and I believe it would be a smart business decision for this council to consider building that conference center downtown. I appreciate your time. Thank you for consideration.
Jay, thank you for being here today. Next, we have Mr. Glenn Costales. Glenn, welcome back, sir.
Glenn Costales, 1904 Veith, and I am a resident of the city. Just a few things where I went through their two recent final proposals on each one. On Earhart Group, what would be the cost of a garage and the land acquisition cost from the state that drives that price up, and how would that be funded? They have a list of items needed to make the project work. Whole list and nothing but subsidies. In the second one there, the Modessa funding has to be a blighted or a conservation area in the downtown area. And Modessa funding reads that a portion of the new state and local taxes created by a project can be diverted to fund eligible public infrastructure and related costs for a period of up to 25 years. The local match must be at a minimum 50% of the amount of the new local sales tax and 100% of the amount of the new real property tax created by the project each year, or a comparable amount of local funds from the city, county, or a nonprofit organization. Huge, huge tax subsidy. On their rooms go on their construction budget. The rooms in the original were $138,000 per room, now down to $103,000 per room. The two biggest areas were construction, had almost a $40,000 drop in cost, and furniture and fixtures took almost a $3,000 drop in cost per room. Big change in the category. Now to farmers. Project scope. The RFP calls for 40,000 square feet. They want to give you 30,000, 75% of what you're asking for. 20,000 square foot ballrooms, what they offer. RFP asks for 30. You're going to get 66% of it. But they still want the whole $9,000, but you're only going to get a portion of what you're asking for. Plus they say no annual subsidy. They ask for TIFs and CIDs. Their financial analysis page that they provided, wherever they put a convention center, they had 3 locations. They're all $18 million. Earhart says to build one downtown is 9.1, 18 million. Yeah, little bit of a difference. On page 4 of their response to the RFP, the hoteler contemplates using the $9 million city contribution for both the construction of the exhibit hall / banquet space, also termed conference center, throughout the RFP response, as well as the hotel facility. The $9 million is supposed to be for conference center only, not the hotel. They're going to take that fund and put it over there. And I walked through the mall this past weekend, looked at the space they're talking about using. For $9 million, they can do a whole lot more than renovate 2 open areas. Where's the rest of that money going to go? Into the hotel, into renovating the whole mall? I think the best thing you guys can do is to hunt this ball down and work up a new RFP and put it back out on the street. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Next up on the agenda here is Mr. Paul Van Horn. Paul, welcome back.
Paul Van Horn. I live in 808 Strasburg Court, which is on the west end. From a standpoint of my own personal self-interest, a conference center would be best for me from a property standpoint. My property values would be on the west end, correct? And ideally, from the standpoint of the growth, and of talking, well, about 5 or 6 years ago, when I talked to the city manager, or one of the managers of Capitol Plaza, I asked him, I said, why would people want to come to Jeff City when they could go down to the lake? His response was, well, there's nothing to do in Jeff City. And I said, well, what does that have to do? And his response was, well, people will, and I know many of you have been to conventions before, instead of going out golfing, they will be going to, some of you are smiling, they'll be going to the conferences during that time. Now, today, I've always come to the conclusion that you follow the money. Today, we hear continuous over the media, get the government out of our free enterprise system and markets. We hear it over and over and over again. However, here we are considering giving tax increment financing. By the way, I'm a certified school financial manager, and therefore I worked in DESE in the area of school finance. So here we're considering giving tax increment financing for the mall development that removes a source property tax base up to 23 years, or whatever that number is. In addition to a CID, 1 cent sales tax, that is either absorbed or paid by the purchasing of the products or services. We understand that the deal which was cut by the school district to place a cap on current property tax base so that there will not be any further decline. I understand that. However, many in the community cannot understand why Jefferson City residents are going to be giving up a tax-based source through TIFs or have a CID, 1 cent sales tax based added to we taxpayers. Somebody's got to pay that. It's either it's going to be absorbed by the business or it's going to be passed on to the consumer. The lack of understanding has been reflected by some participants in attending board meetings held throughout our city, in addition to whether there should be a conference center or not. By the way, I favor a conference center. It's just basically the location, and what we've heard is downtown is probably the best location for all parties involved. The school district recently had the citizens of Jefferson City vote down a new high school proposal. We had the same defeat of which I was on, Mr. Hussey was on one of your committee. The same defeat of the transformation proposal advanced by the chamber and the city. I would like to have answers to the following questions from the council members or legal counsel. It doesn't have to be done today, but at least you can ask these questions. If I could vote for such a deal, before I could vote for such a deal between the city and the owners of the mall, please respond to my questions in this open meeting or open session or some open session. What would happen to the 1 cent sales tax or TIF if the owners of the mall as an LLC declares bankruptcy in 1 or X number of years? What guarantees or protections do we city residents have regarding such actions? What recourse does the city have regarding such a situation that occurs? Has the city seen the contract between the sellers of the mall and the buyers to see what would happen regarding such a failure? I am sure no one here would buy a pig in a poke. I sure would not, and having been involved in bargaining, not enter into a contract with knowing such agreements and or conditions. What calculated monetary loss would there be to the school district and Jefferson City's constituent if situation would occur? I assume that the council, school district, and our staff has made such calculation if such events do occur. If a study was completed, what were the results? If a study has not been completed, I suggest for the parties to look into that. With projection inflation on the increase, the price of goods and services and personnel cost will increase in a similar amount. Will the school district possibly be able to go to the Jefferson City residents and ask for a bond or tax levy increase which exceeds the permissible levy rolled up in the school district board? What chances does the school district have in winning such an increase when compared with the current demographics within Jefferson City? We do have an aging population. These council members' credibility is at stake on this and other issues. Each of you are the elected representatives of your respective ward. Personally, I would place a hold until we had affirmative responses for such questions. As a council, unless these things and other questions are answered, I recommend that you walk away from the table and from verbal tentative agreements. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you coming today. Next, I have on the list here, Mr. Frank. Before we do this, is there anyone else in the audience that didn't get a chance to sign up that would like to speak? Going once? Going twice? We are going to give the developers a chance. We're going to give them both a few minutes, up to 5 minutes after this if they would like to answer any questions that came up today. I think it's only fair as citizens, you have concerns, they probably ought to address those if they can, and if they can't answer them today, they can't, but if they're willing to do that, I'm going to give them that opportunity. So they will both be on the list. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Oh, you're on the list. We can't get you off the list, Frank. You know that. All right. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to leave it at that. Next, I have Mr. Frank Tweehouse. Frank, welcome.
My name is Frank Tweehouse. I was born and raised in the Jefferson City area. I now live about 2 miles east of the city limits on the east side of Jefferson City. I'm here to speak in favor of the Capitol Mall site because I think it's by far the best and most economical site for the city, for the city's interest. They have all their parking area and everything set up, and I think it's be by far the best. First, you're dealing with local families, which means a lot to me. I like to deal with local people, not somebody from out of town. Over the years, I've had dealings with the Farmer Holding Group. I'm in my 3rd generation of the farmers that I've dealt with. They've always been very fair, very honest people to deal with. I've dealt with them for the last 40 years, so I know them well, and I speak in their favor because I know they're local people and the tax dollars will stay in Jefferson City. The site has all the paving area, parked area for everything for parking, so I think that would be a big factor in dealing with Jefferson City's mall site because it's just more economical. They'll ask for less tax dollars, and I think we'll have. The traffic infrastructure should be sufficient to handle the extra traffic that they will be. The new merchants in the mall will be coming in along with the conference center. So I don't think there'll be anything extra on infrastructure for the city or state to build. I think it will. They have plenty areas to come in from all directions, and I think the infrastructure would be sufficient to handle all that. There will be more things to do at the mall rather than just sit at the conference center when they're not in session. You got shopping center, you got movie theater, you got restaurants, cocktail lounge, and a lot of other things to do at the mall that you don't have downtown. So I would strongly urge you all to consider the Capitol Mall site. I think it would be by far the best site for the city. Also, on the site next to Capitol Plaza downtown, we tore a building down there just a few years ago because it had a mold problem. The state spent several $1 million building the building. After the '93 flood, it was got mold, and just a few years, we had to tear it down and start over, so the site is now vacant. So, thank you all very much.
Frank, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here today. I know you have a lot of employees and a lot of business going on. Next, we have Mr. Jim Olson. Jim, welcome. Thank you for coming here today.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I moved to Jefferson City about 6 years ago. Before that, I retired from the City of San Jose Convention Center, where I was chief of plant operations there. And I've attended many meetings, planning meetings for hundreds of events. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous here. Anyway, I traveled all over the country. I've been to convention centers from coast to coast, and I've never seen one that wasn't downtown, which is a a destination area. When people go to conventions, they like to be able to walk and see, what there is to see at the city. You have the Capitol, and you've got all kinds of downtown facilities, restaurants, lounges, reasons for people to come to Jefferson City. In all the places I've been, I've never had to hop on a shuttle bus to go to some shopping center 3 or 4 miles away. It's not convenient, and I don't think it would be a successful outcome. So thank you very much.
Jim, thank you for taking the time to be here today. I think that's everyone for the audience. If I missed anyone, let me know. Don't see any hands. We'll give the developers a little time each if they would like to say anything at all. It's up to them. Trey, with the Earharts?
I'll take 30 seconds maybe.
That's fine. Hey, I appreciate you being here. I know you're busy trying to run other properties.
On the West End, as a matter of fact. Hi, my name is Trey Propes, and I am a resident of Jefferson City. I have lived all my life on the West End of my life in Jefferson City. It's been 20 years now. I think by now I'm local. I've got 2 children who go to school here in Jefferson City, and I choose to live here. I could go elsewhere. We have other places we do business, and I could go elsewhere. The only thing I have to say is, please prayerfully consider both proposals. You've got 2 great ones. You're not going to get me to stand up here and say anything negative about those fine folks sitting right there. I don't have anything negative to say. I hope whenever everything's said and done, I know if the proposal is selected to go out at the mall, I'm going to try to be the first one to call them up or to walk down to their office and thank them for their efforts and what they've got going forward. Because I believe in the project. I believe in the location we have, but I also believe both groups are doing nothing but trying to do what they believe is best for Jefferson City, and that's to create a conference center, something to draw people here. We just have a difference of opinion on the location of that conference center. I've heard a couple people also say, and I'd like to kind of dispel it, people say that we're hoteliers. Yes, we are. We are hoteliers and we are developers. They are not hoteliers, but they're good business people. They're going to hire the right people to run the hotel. So I mean, I've had several people come to me and ask me that question. I have no doubt that hotel, if it's put at this mall site, will be a hotel that people will want to go to because they're going to hire the right people to run that hotel. So I have no doubt about that. So I just want to thank everybody, from every council member who's sitting here, everyone who couldn't make it because they have other commitments, to the farmers and the people from Farmer Holdings, to all the people who've come out in favor of one side or the other. Thank you for taking the time to be heard. We appreciate it, and we look forward to a conclusion to the process. Thank you.
Trey, thank you very much.
Mayor, if we could, we're going to speak Thursday.
Okay.
We'll cover this session and the session on Thursday.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Sounds like a winner. Thank you. All right, with that, Drew, do you have anything else to add? Our next open hearing on the conference center proposals will be held Thursday at 5:30.
We do have tonight, though, Charles Johnson, the first small portion of our meeting now will be open so that everyone can hear the same thing we hear when he says it, which is whatever his recommendation is.
All right, any other questions? All right, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you taking the time.